right, everybody. It is midnight, March 31st now, Tuesday, last day of March before April kicks off. Tonight, in about 1 hour, I'm going to be on Coast to Coast AM. And what you'll end up seeing there is probably going to be one of the most impactful interviews I'll ever give. Given the breadth of scope of information that I've hopefully put together, all the problems, all the solutions that I see, both collective and individual. And I think it'll be a good show. This is the second time I've been on Coast to Coast. They had me on back in, I think, 2012. I had a really good interview with them then. We're live. And I did an interview with them back in 2012. So I have a good experience with Coast to Coast, but so much has transpired and I've gained so much more information, and I'm actually a lot more hopeful going forward than I was even back then. The way that the dollar collapse is playing out is better than any of the ways that I saw before. I really thought we were going to have, $10 a gallon gas, which we still may have. I thought we were going to be in the middle of a world war, and then, all these other things going on. So having the coronavirus come now and slow down the economy, slow down humanity, is probably one of the best things that could have happened for us. Because if we continue to allow this to happen, we're on the verge of a technological awakening, or new powers that are going to come in that could permanently disable majority of humanity, more so than what we've already gotten now. Over the past 100 years, we've had debt and death put on top of us through a myriad of ways. Most of the fact is the fact that we have a privately owned central bank cartel that owns and controls all the politicians, the media, the military, everything. Because once the money was hijacked, then the humanity of consciousness got hijacked. And now I think it's a time where people are forced to really look at why we're here on Earth, and what we're meant to do, who we're enabling, what are we chasing after. And I think it's going to become very apparent over the next couple of days that all the digital illusions that we chased after were just that, just digital illusions of wealth. There are a ton of conspiracies flying around, and I really can't discredit, because I don't have any better information than what probably what we have. I do know that best laid plans are going to fall apart because this isn't a military, political, or a financial crisis. This is a battle or a crisis of consciousness. I found it interesting that since COVID has come to the United States, the death rate of the entire country has dropped significantly. And I think it's because that there's more people who are, right now being more communication with each other. We don't realize what a heavy burden we carry by being separated from ourselves, from our relationships, our children, our family, our tribe. We are a social community. And yet we've been, over time, manipulated into little cogs in the wheel that can be, traded out, huge labor forces traded out, but it's always mechanization. It's always monetization. It's always, what can we get out of you? And, this is the time where I think that humanity is going to have an opportunity to full on reject that future. We don't want the Terminator future. We don't want the mark of the beast. We don't want more bankster control. We don't want, crypto tracking, bio tracing, they're talking crazy stuff. None of this stuff has to happen. So let me see if we got some questions here. Yeah, I don't know where Coast to Coast is. I know it's an AM station, but I'm sure they have XM and something else like that. I gotta drink more tea. No, you better not be buying gold. Don't buy gold. Gold is so overvalued right now next to silver, because I believe that the criminal elite recognize that the game is up, that they can bail each other out with trillions of dollars worth of debt, but they also know that that's a scam. So yeah, they can bail out all these CEOs that just left their jobs. The senators, this has already gone in the news, but there was 4 senators that sold their entire portfolio based on insider information from the government. Nobody's coming to save you, folks. There is nobody who's not bought and paid for. I would like to think that somebody's going to, make something happen. But I was never planning on anybody coming to save me from myself. That's why I came up with this idea of the silver bullet, Silvershield, as a means of conscious individual solutions for the cure for all these unconscious collectivist problems. I love Sunday White Rabbit. Do you think they're trying to scare us because they're scared? Yeah, absolutely. You don't get to those high levels without having a higher understanding of how the world works. We're not privy to a lot of information that's been passed down by the criminal elite. And I think that they've been sold a bill of goods that they can pull enough levers and manipulate humanity just enough that they can end up with total control. I think what they're going to end up exposing is the utter waste of humanity it is to try to do such things. That this earth is wildly abundant despite our best efforts to pollute, destroy, degrade, detach all the humans from Mother Earth. And I think this is going to be a grand reset. So far, this is the best zombie apocalypse ever, right? Although Hollywood movies would have had us, shooting our neighbors and, doing all that other stuff. So the solution should be to reach out, help, and, create solutions and possibilities where others are creating limitations. This is also, since it's about consciousness, it also has to do with egos attached to, who and what they are. When I came on the scene, I was very proud to say, I was an Irish Catholic Marine millionaire, all these labels, right? But none of those describe me, because as soon as I left my family business, I was no longer, the millionaire. I was no longer I was always Marine, but, those labels suddenly didn't mean much. It was like, that doesn't mean anything. And it's not until we start realizing that we are all powerful and that we can create whatever world we want. That becomes an emboldening thing, because then you start to see if I think certain negative thoughts and I think fear out there, I limit my world, I limit my options, and it becomes a scary world. Where if I recognize that I'm the source of power and that through enough time and intervention, I can redeem any problem out there. I was unemployed during the financial crisis in 2008, May of 2008, after 3 years of begging my family and partners to sell while the getting's good during the last housing bubble. It came a time for me to make a crossroads change. In May of 2008, I ended up walking away from my family business. And I found myself unemployed in Cleveland, Ohio. In the beginning of the financial crisis, my only experience was in the car business. And every job interview I went on, the dealers were there going, I don't know if I'm going to be in business. And most of them weren't after that. And then after a couple months of being unemployed and underemployed, I finally said, God, I give up. Whatever you want me to do, I'll do. And within 2 weeks, I got a 6-figure job out of nowhere in a field that I had no interest in doing. And I think the big lesson there is that if you find yourself overthinking or think that you're going to think yourself through these problems, don't do it. This is about accepting and letting go. Anything that's not if you just lost your house, if you just lost your job, if you just lost your kids' college fund, if you just lost your brother to a suicide, all these things are real. Grieve, feel them, but they're not you, and they will pass. And that's the beauty of our life, that no matter how bad things get and how impossible it may be in your mind, and I know a lot of people, when you get into a position where you're in deep depression, you feel it's, life isn't worth anything. And that's not the case. This is the time that you grow the most. In fact, if you didn't have these problems, you wouldn't become conscious. And I think that's one of the benefits of having a depression, a slowdown, a timeout globally, so we can actually start saying, hey, what are we actually enabling in this world? Because all I see in the United States, at least in the dominant world, is debt and death and deception. That's who we've enabled. We enabled those that would create multiple profits off of dividing and conquering humanity. We've turned a blind eye to the sins that we commit overseas. The coups, the wars, all the stuff that goes on in our name. And I think it's going to take a country, a world, and certainly individuals to recognize their participation in the debt and death paradigm. And then recognizing that you do have the ability of how much obviously we have, certain things that are expected of us, or else we go to jail, right? We don't pay taxes on your house and see who owns your house. I would like a world where we don't have to have people taxed on their income or their land. And that's why I've been pushing for this nonviolent, non-compliant repeal 1913, which is, to me, a real solution to these problems that are going on. These $6 trillion worth of bailouts are not going to cause anything else but bail out the criminal elite that created the global generational debt-based fiat Ponzi scheme, that want to eventually put us on a crypto biometric one world currency. And they're going to bail out, go buy gold, which is what they're doing now. That's why gold is becoming so high. And then they're going to come back just like they always do, just like the carpetbaggers after the Civil War. They came in with their gold and they're like, oh, we're going to pay. No, we need a full-on rejection of all of this stuff. And that's why I think silver is by far the best place to be. It is the most manipulated of all the assets out there. It is certainly the cure for viruses, werewolves, vampires, and banksters. So you want to have as much silver in your possession. And I also want to make something very clear, because of this channel, because of my crazy moving ahead with this, and because of the Golden State Mint, we still have access to silver where the entire world doesn't. All the major mints are shut down, right? U.S. Mint sold out. Yeah, Stephen Mnuchin checking on our gold in Fort Knox. But that's who everybody supported. Everybody's like, oh, let's buy Silver Eagles. Don't buy Silvershield. Let's buy Silver Eagles. Or let's buy the Royal Canadian Mint, because it's 0.999 resting bitch face on the back of it. But we're seeing that this is all about a battle of consciousness. Who we're supporting. Are we going to take on fear? Are we going to take on love? We all get to decide this. And I think that we're not really going to have a choice, because the alternative that they're going to offer is hyperinflation, debt, more government control. That's all they can ever offer. In fact, that's, it's like the empire. It's like, once you become bad, you have to become badder and badder and badder until you own everything. Well, all that does is end up building resistance. So I think in my story, those that stack Silvershield are going to be the Jedi, and we're going to end up saving the day for a lot of people and become the local kings and queens that are going to establish order in this chaos, because there's no government official. You can't take from everybody and give to everybody and have government spending and middlemen cut. It never works. The best thing to do is to not tax the people in the first place. And maybe a debt jubilee would be nice. I gave another collectivist idea of investigate JP Morgan silver manipulation, specifically this past week and a half, but certainly over the last 10 years since they took over Bear Stearns, crashed silver down just before the last financial crisis. And then at the very bottom, they started their own COMEX vault and went from 0 up to, 165. Some people say 500 million ounces of physical silver in their vaults. If there was any justice in the Justice Department, if Trump is this supposed 5D chess playing guy, you would think that that would probably be the basis of let's make silver money again. And I think that's another option out there that nobody talks about. And I'm not dependent upon anybody fixing it. QAnon, Trump, deep state, it doesn't matter. Like, I think even the best laid plans by those that have all the power in the world are all going to fall apart, because it was all built on sand. It was all built on illusions. It was all built on lies. And as soon as one part starts not working, like people's pensions and paychecks, all of a sudden people aren't so loyal to the cause anymore, because all the blood that they spilled for those digital illusions of wealth, when they go away, what are they left with but the guilt knowing that they participated in, causing pain to our fellow brothers and sisters. And that's where I hope Year of the Rat turns into the flood, where everybody's like, oh my God, you have no clue what they're up to. And I think we're hearing a lot about that with 5G. And these biometrics and the cryptocurrencies and the vaccines. This is the time humanity is waking up, folks. No lie gets to the other side is very real. This is a time period of humanity where a conscious awakening is happening. And this is the first time ever that we're going to have global internet. And then I think this is the reason why they kept putting this off, because when 9/11 happened, right, that was another false flag to create a false enemy, chasing after false terrorists, this whole Osama bin Laden bullshit. World Trade Center 7 didn't hang itself, folks, right? But that came in as the internet was pretty, new. So there wasn't this developed brain power that we've got here, or trust, and this collective consciousness that's been developed in here and many other channels out there that wasn't there before. We also have access to the history and a lot of other people who started to put all these pieces together. And we start to realize that there's only one problem in this world, and it's our banking system, and the very ability of them to create money out of thin air. Nothing else matters, folks. If you're into, we're polluting the earth, you got to start with the money. If you're worried about war, you got to start with the money. If you're worried about corruption, you got to start with the money. If you're worried about controlled media, you got to do the money. You start about big pharma, you got to control the money. It's always been about the money. And how did they start? Crime of 1873, folks. That's when they demonetized silver out of the United States. And that's our solution, the Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz was a monetary allegory talking about how the banksters back then robbed America, which is what's going on right now. Every $1 trillion that they spend is $1 trillion worth of debt that we have to pay back through lost purchasing power. That's why this is a hyperinflation that's coming, folks. Right now, we just had the 10,000 go down, right? And now they're launching all this money. And now that the Fed's combined with the Treasury, the Fed just dumped their whole balance sheet onto our government, because the banksters that own that and profited off of that realize that they're in an untenable situation. They can't continue to throw money out there when the whole economy's gone. How do you prop up a stock market when there's 50% unemployment? Like, is it really going to stay up there? Mm-hmm. So all these bailouts are really there just to give cover for the last criminal elite to get those last checks. They all get their paid things. So this is why I think that if we leave it into the military, financial, and political realm, they have full control over those realms. And that's thankfully not the problem, because there is no resistance inside those systems. Everybody's either overtly bought and paid for or subvertly through their paychecks. And I'm hoping that once the illusions of power start failing, and that people see the enormity of the challenge that humanity is going to have trying to replicate and try to, find something in humanity after all this global generational debt-based fiat Ponzi scheme ends, it's going to take a lot of work. And I've watched this a long time. I'm actually happy how this is progressing. I may come back here 2 weeks from now and be like, it's gotten worse. But I really feel like the criminal elite know people are watching them and questioning them. And I got to imagine not everybody is a, this cabal banking system that wants total global domination. I got to imagine there's a lot of individuals in there who are unconsciously, enable this, right? Programmers, bankers, secretaries, all this stuff. People are starting to wake up and be like, can we talk about this? Like, is this really what we want? Or is this something that's gotten passed down by very powerful people who have enabled the worst in humanity, maybe threatened a lot of people to do things that are probably against the best interests of our brothers and sisters? And I think that that's something that once this starts awakening happens, we can start walking away from all those that would cause, separation, scarcity, and sin, and cause fear and cause this. So the only solution to fear is love. The only solution to lies is truth. That's why I have no fear, right? Nobody owns me. I've been this lone wolf pissing into the cosmic wind for over a decade. I put, every idea that I could on these Silvershield coins that are going to be around here for thousands of years, and unlike the 1984 digital hole where my YouTube channel could easily go right now, 2,000 videos that I've done over the past 10 years can go. I've known this. I've known that it could all go away. And my feeling is if I put enough energy out into the universe and change enough people, when time comes like now, that enough people will have the physical silver and also have the consciousness to be able to deal with this healthily, and provide local, solutions to the people and friends and families, so we can start establishing new tribes, new communities, new values. And it's going to take a full-on rejection of the old values, all the Hollywood movies. Perhaps we got to get rid of all this tech and start getting back to, living in a more rural, agrarian, balanced, better way of life. To me, I think that sounds wonderful. Like, I honestly think that I could, redo America by Christmas time. If we could just do three things. I think we need to expose all the lies. So that's why I say no lie gets to the other side. We need complete transparency in the government, our monetary system, the powers, who's known what, when, where, and why. What is the truth behind 5G? What is the truth about the vaccines? How long have they been working on Fed coin? How long have they been doing? But we're not going to hear all this, right? So good luck with that. I'm hoping that Year of the Rat, 2020 vision, that a lot more people start coming out. And I've heard things, just recently. I was like, oh, good. This is the beginning of more and more people going, did you know about this? Did you know about this? And it starts becoming a clearer picture, because that's all this is, folks. Like, majority of people went about their lives doing the career, doing the voting, doing this because we've been indoctrinated into doing that. That's not in our best interests, right? It's always about giving power to some collectivist. Give power to your boss, give power to your politician, give power to your bankers, give power to your priest, give power to power to power to power. It's always about the individual enabling some collective. Well, the collectives are always run by cunning individuals who realize that if they manipulate those people in those things just enough, they can do nothing and get a ton of power. And as that egomaniac control, those that rise to power want power. They want to control others. They want to lord it over them. Looking at David Geffen on his $569 million yacht, saying he's self-quarantined, like, that's how detached they are from reality. Like, they just don't get it. And I think the full-on rejection of all those kind of values, even chasing after the dollars, like, if Trump, Harvey Weinstein, or Epstein didn't have billions of dollars of ill-gotten gains, would they really have been surrounded by women and power and possessions and all that other stuff? No, like, they're just put up there to make it seem as if that money that they represented, that they could buy off people, had power. And the truth is they don't have power, that their digits are illusions, their power are illusions, and all they do is separate brother from sister everywhere they can. We are one race, one planet, and the only problem that we have is the operating system. And the operating system's been hijacked. At first it used to be our religions, then, the kings and, empires. And then, over time, it's been money. That's it. And he who controls the money controls the world. So this is our chance. Small window, folks. I see nothing but a financial collapse coming globally. And I don't see any other solutions other than getting your wealth out of all these digital illusions of wealth, down Exeter's pyramid, past gold, forget gold, and then get right into physical silver. And Golden State Mint's the only place that I know has their stuff together. And it's because this channel, what we've done here with Silvershield, we had the best business model over the 7-year bear market when everybody left silver. Everybody, right? Few hundred people kept this thing going over these years while everybody went to cryptos and Trumps and Tesla stock and house this flip and whatever. I stayed true to this. I kept this pounding hammer and I kept that mint growing. I mean, they have tons of business that they don't really need me, but we kept this thing going. And then, just on the 13th, I told you guys, like, I'm out. Like, there was a rush of demand because people finally started to see what I've been talking about all along, that it's not about return on investment. It's going to be about return of investment, return of your assets back to you and what's real. Everything out there, even the dollar sitting in your account, they're just a digital illusion of wealth. And how close are we, right? They just printed the worst unemployment. Like, we're now past the Great Depression this week in terms of unemployment gain. Like, never happened before, folks. We went off the cliff, and now their only response is they wanted Fed coin. This has all been planned, folks, all been planned. And they're trying to scare us, right? And I would expect that once things, maybe even starts, who knows, but bank holidays, closings, once that happens, folks, that's why you have to have silver outside the system. Yeah, there's something fishy about everything that's going on. Jamie Dimon getting a heart attack, Bill Gates quitting, whoever the Disney guy, there's a lot of guys that are going on out there, but we don't hear anything because, all these government agencies, people are more concerned about their paycheck, their reputation, don't step on shoulder, don't step on toes. That's not how we do it here. Like, that's why the system must collapse. Because the system will protect itself until it kills the host. And that's what we're at the phase right now, folks. Like, nobody's coming to save us. I don't even think the people that are overtly causing the bailouts and the banking, they may not even get, what a crack up boom is, because they've been so indoctrinated into this monetary policy that they think they can print unlimited amount of debt, and that there's never a time that we have to worry about debt and inflation. We just keep inflating it and keep suckering along all these individuals that are working their entire lives, dying with nothing in them, just to have performing portfolios. What time do I wake up in the morning? Usually around 6. So I have something that, over the last couple of months, I've been getting to bed early because I have the kids for the last couple of weeks, and I've been falling asleep around 9:30 and 10. I wake up sometimes at 2 to 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm bolt upright. I'm receiving information. I gotta think or meditate or something, and then I usually sleep until 7 until the kids get up, and then work out. Now, working out, folks, this is your time. Think about it, right? This is the only time in your life that you've ever had where you have all the time in the world to yourself and you can do whatever you want with yourself. Why not get into good shape? Why not start raising your vibration? I work out every single day I've done 6 hours when I don't have the kids here, but definitely 1 hour up to 6 hours. Low impact. You can do jump rope, push-ups, squats, just move your body around. That's all that matters. But the thing that I love about being in a warrior workout is the determination and focus that you can generate inside yourself while working out, looking in the mirror saying, I can push myself one more. You can do it. Keep focused, and that's what those skills that you gain in working out, you then can take that into your daily life. When you're doing your job or you're working with somebody or something, you can keep that focus and presence with them so that you can, be your best. So, and then, straight up meditation, when you close your eyes and breathe, these are all great things, because then you start to realize that you're not the nervous, fearful, what's that thought? You're the observer, right? You're the one going, oh, okay, that's fair. And that'll go. That's what this is all going to be like. And I think the more that individuals can control themselves and not establish this sense of fear amongst everybody, we can start being, the positive solution out there. And I think it's also important with this coronavirus that, this is a good opportunity for you to get in line with yourself. This is about speaking your own truth, not asking permission. This is another thing. You've been indoctrinated into, saying please and thank you. And while that's very nice to say please and thank you, you don't owe anybody anything. If you think you're operating from your best interests and it's the best use of your time, you don't need permission from anybody to do something. Now, obviously, if you offend somebody, you make do. But if you're looking for marching orders to go out and go do what you think is the best thing to do, nobody has that right to tell you yes or no. You're the only one that decides that. And that's when you start realizing that you're the creator of your reality. I don't think it has to be a great tribulation. This could be over in an instant. If we had total transparency right now, which we don't. I mean, I'm giving you total transparency. We're a broke nation, folks. Broke. I say bring home all the troops right now while we still have it within our means to do that. Because once we start to realize how broke we are, I think a lot of our men overseas are going to be in positions that they shouldn't be in. Hopefully the world works together and, de-escalates anything that could come out of this. And I really like how the coronavirus has stopped air travel, stopped commerce, stopped everything to get people to, this is the one time that we get to really decide, are we going to continue holding on to something that we know was bad for us, folks? Like this whole past, not cool. Like strip mall America, I hate it. I don't like anything about that. People working in cubicles, people, just barely making it by, right? Just barely making it by. And I feel that's the majority of the people out there, that they're struggling so hard just to survive that they don't have the ability of kind of putting all the pieces together. I realized that I had this opportunity and I felt up for the task to put all this information together for such a long time and also come up with solutions. But it is frustrating for me because I know that I did do all the hard work. I did the bullshit tests. I listened to all, followed none. And I think I came up with a good plan for everybody. Like everybody's got a winner. It's not the way, right? So long as any plan says I'm a winner and you're a loser, China communists versus American fascists, we'll all lose every time. All we've enabled was the cunning elite who would profit off of separation, scarcity, and sin, right? I'm sure that there's Chinese people, there's the equivalent of me over there saying, hey, can't we all just get along? Like, how about we work with sustainability? How about we work with, in not enabling the worst in humanity? How about we expose liars? How about we, all these cunning schemes, we start protecting our brothers and sisters. We need more whistleblowers. We need more people willing to step up and say, hey, this is not right. Maybe take people aside. And if not, karma is going to deal with it. Like, no lie gets the other side. Like, you guys can choose right now to, I think, the easiest way, which is what I'm imploring you to do. Raise your vibration, get your silver, and, get your food and start planting victory gardens. I think that's the smartest things you could be doing right now. Or you can sit at home, be fearful, read all the conspiracy theories about how large and how big these problems are and how small and helpless and powerless that you would feel because you would need something equally large to go counteract it. And it's not like that. No matter how bad coronaviruses, the economic collapse, if you can meditate and be in your place and you can be prepared, aware and prepared, that was another thing that I used to do with the Don't Tread on Me site. You can handle all things. And if you're in a position where you don't see help, and I mean, I'm 1 degree away from 2 suicide Marine brothers over the past 2 weeks of just, these are strong men. And I would really like to see a lot of military guys. I grew up post 9/11. I served from 97 to 03 in the reserves. We were the first Marine unit activated after 9/11, given our proximity to ground zero. We had a lot of cops and firefighters in my unit. My dealership was right next to Overlook Hospital. I watched the towers fall. And I was as hardcore Marine as, anybody, I had that 1,000-yard stare, look of death, kill, kill, kill. And it wasn't until 2005 when I started watching Loose Change and the 9/11 conspiracy that I was like, oh, wow. Because if you could take a guy like me and put me in a position where, on 9/11, it was like, oh, terrorists, we're going to kill everybody. Like, how dare they? And then realize that it wasn't Iraq, or the CIA is involved with Al-Qaeda and ISIS and the Mujahideen, and they were the ones that are responsible for all the radical terrorism. And, maybe this is a false flag war that they spend $6 trillion. Think about that, folks. The bailouts that they're doing right now, more than probably the war on terror, right? It's a hijacking. This is planned. And I think that since nobody from the government that I know of is going to do anything about this, nobody from the banking sector or the CEOs of anything is going to do anything about this. It's really just left to us, folks. And the only solution I have is that if you have money in the system, get it out now, because as soon as we have a banking crisis, you could be shut off of funds. There's been multiple times where stock markets are shut down for years, Germany, China, we're hearing like, oh, we're going to try to keep the markets open. No, maybe they're not. And then once that happens, close the markets, inflate the currency, and destroy the value of anything that you had left in there. So you could have $10 million, in your 401k, or I don't know, just a number. And then if it gets closed and then they print the currency so much that it hyperinflates, that $10 million thing is not worth anything anymore. But one of the benefits of, that's assuming if the company exists anymore, if the whole industry, like what's the travel hotel industry going to look like for the next 20 years? Like COVID's not going to go away. Right? It'll probably keep circling around the earth and, do its thing. But it's not going to go away. So what are you going to do? After April, right? We're going to have probably more cases because people aren't listening and staying indoors, and the stimulus is not going to, jerk up the stock market anymore. And then people are going to be like, oh, so this is really this is the end. This is how it ends. And we're already seeing, runs on toilet paper and all this other stuff. We're seeing supplies that are running out. And it's not that we can't produce or do enough to do that. It's just that means it's not priced right, right? Things don't sell out if they're priced right. There's always a continual supply and demand. So when things sell out, that means toilet paper is worth more than our dollars. That means silver is worth more than our dollars. And if you want to bring more silver onto the market, you need higher and higher premiums to get those guys that were smart enough to recognize that I didn't want your dollars back when they had purchasing power. Now that you are all scared, why would I want to sell my silver again? So we're fortunate that we have the Golden State Mint that is still in business. We all saw this coming, folks. Like, we saw this coming, right? So I really appreciate any support that you guys could do to keep this going, because there's no guarantee that this continues to go on. We're one executive order away from, even worse scenarios. But it's going to come a time where people are going to have to look at themselves and going, okay, well, why am I here? What do I want to leave my kids? Debt and death? Or do I want to leave them a kingdom of silver and food in abundance, and this great community of people that I now know and work together and realize that we're all one, and that we have to actually help each other and care for each other at multiple levels, children, elderly, divorced, sick. It's got to be a community. And right now we've divided up the community, enabled these big corporations to, essentially take care of us, feed us and all this other stuff. And we start to realize that, God, all they did was just extract all the wealth out of our communities and left us poor, left us with $7.25 an hour jobs at the thing. That's why right now I'm trying to support all of our local restaurants, because I hope all these chain restaurants end up going out of business because they're wealth extractors. All the Starbucks, all the Targets, all that stuff that extracts wealth out of the local communities, and that's why our communities look like a strip mall, and that's why there's things are out of balance everywhere. So I think that we can do so much better. Again, I'm going on coast to coast in 17 minutes, so I'm gonna probably wrap up here pretty quick, and then do a couple things. Why should we regret Germany? Well, because all the banksters are behind all the wars. Hitler wouldn't have existed if it wasn't for the Bank of England, Halmer Schott, and I forget his name. The British, they invested a lot in the Nazis, and hijacked that national movement. No different than what Trump. I think Trump's totally bought and paid for. I don't think he's any different. I've done articles, LA Times, talking about how Wilbur Ross, while working for Rothschild directly, Rothschild's the ones that own the world central banks, bailed out Trump, I think on his second or third bankruptcy of a casino. Like, who the hell goes bankrupt on a casino other than Trump? And then when Wilbur Ross was asked why they bailed out Trump, who was working for Rothschild, he said, because the Trump name is very much an asset. Now, flash forward 30 years, Trump our celebrity reality TV president, who's more concerned about his Bachelor ratings last night than the coronavirus and the collapse of this global economy. They put up this buffoon, and Wilbur Ross is now the Commerce Secretary. What do you think the Commerce Secretary is going to do during an economic collapse, right? Then he got all the Goldman Sachs banksters. So anybody hoping, and I still hold open the possibility Trump may pull a Putin and, whip this all around somehow. And, I'll be very happy about that. But I don't expect that to happen. I really believe that this guy is bought and paid for. And nobody's coming to save us. Wilbur Ross, king of bankruptcy, right? And Trump is known as the king of debt. Folks, this has been planned. And there was never an option, because even if Hillary won, the banksters would have still been there. They would still had the same different Goldman Sachs guys, maybe a different Rothschild. It doesn't matter. It's all bought and paid for, folks. And that's why it needs to collapse. Do I have a bug out bag? No. I'm here. I'm here. And I think everybody's going to have to say, hey, this is my house. And I think once everybody starts realizing that they're the kings of their castle, you cannot run, because if you run from your home, you will run for the rest of your life. So no, I don't have a bug out bag. I also don't live in an unsustainable area. I used to live in the New York, New Jersey area. I've lived in Boston. I've lived in, a lot of things. Cleveland ain't that, folks. And I'm in the suburbs of Cleveland. I highly recommend, as soon as these quarantines end, that if you do live in any of these major metropolitan areas, leave and don't ever look back. The real estate market's going to go to shit. The housing market's going to go jobs, and it's an unsustainable place when the system's working. It will not work when the banking system goes down. It will not work when, we have all these people freaking out over this coronavirus and the stress and all the things that are going to come to the surface. This is a battle of consciousness. This is humanity coming to terms with what we've consciously and unconsciously done, and who we've enabled, and who we are, and where we're going. That's it. So you don't have to be fearful if you understand where you are in the world, why you're here, and what you can do to make things better. And for, I know a lot of people got laid off. Like, I'm telling you, like, I know what it feels like. I know the hopelessness. I know the all this stuff. Just focus on whatever you can do today. And if you can't even help yourself, go help somebody else. I don't care if it's just opening a door for somebody, if it's planting a garden, if it's, calling somebody and just checking in on them. This is all about just sharing. And eventually you'll process all this pain, but eventually all you have to do is just let go. Whatever pain you have, say, thank you. Thank you for that experience. Thank you for allowing me to grow in a way that I never would have had this not happen to me. Because damn well, if you stayed in that job, if you stayed in that relationship, if you stayed in those things, you weren't happy there. So why are you unhappy that it's not there anymore? And then the big thing that I think a lot of people need to realize is that when the dollars go, out of your bank accounts, it ain't coming back, folks. There's no way this system gets repumped up. And if it does, eggs are going to be $3 trillion. There's no economic way out of this. There is a way to profit out of this. And I think that the best way to do it is out of silver, because it is the most liquid, most manipulated money of all time. And it's the eye of the needle, folks. This is how you get your wealth to the other side. This is how the meek inherit the earth. Because I know that even, the criminal banksters who do own physical silver, they're going to have so much other problems. Like, they may have called it right? JP Morgan, good job, guys. But you might have also forgot the quadrillions of dollars of derivatives and the entire world looking at you and what you guys did. I don't think that that's going to last. But for the individuals who did see this coming and did invest in silver, and specifically Silvershield, I think are going to be in the best position to start providing, possibilities right now. I'm waiting for a big pop, and hopefully something great will happen over the next couple of days. I'm still holding, if I have any say in this story, I would love to see $51 silver by April 8th, 2020. I believe that price is fully attainable on the physical market. I don't know if it's even possible on the silver COMEX, but I do believe that the confluence of global generational debt-based fiat Ponzi scheme, quadrillions, trillions, billions of dollars trying to find a safe local home, and all that's left at the bottom is silver or overpriced gold. Everybody's going to get into physical silver. We are realizing that there's a run on the banks. And the only reason why the dealers and the mints and all this other stuff don't have silver is because we're not pricing it right. There'd be tons of silver on the market at 50, 100, 1,000. Doesn't matter. But you cannot get $14 silver out of people who've been stacking this like justice, And now that I heard that 20 to 30% of the mines are shut down because of COVID, obviously we have a drop in industrial demand in silver, but that's going to be far outbalanced by the investment demand, which we've already seen has already strained the entire markets out there. So, all right, I'm going to get ready for the show again, Coast to Coast AM. And try to get people out there. This will be a good interview. I got all my anger and frustration out on you guys this morning. And then now this is about finding solutions and hopefully waking up a lot of people. Thank you.